I think for others, for our listeners, what's important is the reason I know it's important to learn about your trauma, to learn about your particular trauma and trauma as a whole. That is the way, for me, the biggest way that I can heal, because it separates, and I'll tell you what it did for me is it separated my behavior and the way
Mhm,
I thought and all this
mhm,
stuff I did from who
mhm,
I actually am.
mhm,
It
mhm,
gave me that
mhm,
space to go, okay, wait a
mhm,
minute. Oh, that's trauma, and that's why I respond that way.
mhm, mhm,
That's through trauma, and I understand the root of what caused
mhm.
that, and then
Yeah,
I can work through it.
absolutely. You're
But
not what you
education is
do.
huge.
It is like really understanding yourself, understanding what's happened to you, because trauma isn't who you are. Trauma isn't equally what happened to you, is what happens inside of you. Trauma
Hmm.
happens inside of you and happens outside of you as well in the way you relate with things. And
Right.
so it's really, really understand you know your feelings, and many childhood trauma survivors, they confuse who they are with their feelings
Hmm. Oh
because it's
yeah.
messy. It's so like, there's so many messy feelings. They confuse their thoughts with their feelings. And you
Hmm.
know what you're thinking, there's so much messages that irks me out there, like, oh, what's your thoughts? All these stupid growth mindset acts. Like it just
Hmm.
does not work for trauma survivors. It does not work.
Exactly.
Like, growth mindset, like a motivational speaks or words or things, it doesn't work. You know your thoughts. You can have, like, when your nervous system is being traumatized, you are going to have insane thoughts. But even if your nervous system isn't traumatized, like, you're going to have insane thoughts. Someone wrote Harry Potter, for Christ's sake. You know your thoughts. You're not your feelings. Those are just experiences that live inside of you. Like, the
Right.
bottle is not the water is not the bottle will never be the water will never be the bottle, right? So if you're the bottle, you will never be the water. So who you are resides inside of you. Those are just, in internal family systems, one of the therapeutic approaches that I value in healing trauma. It talks about it as parts of us. Like emotions can be part of us, thoughts can be part of us, a combination of emotions and thoughts part of us, like, the ways in which we cope, whether that be binge eating or restrictive eating or addiction. Those are just parts of us, and these are like parts
Yeah.
that helped us survive.
Hmm.
And when we are in the mud of it and we're embroiled in it, it can feel like we're just a mess and this is who we are,
Totally.
but this is not who we are. These are
Totally.
just part, and we want to fix it, and we want to fight it, and everything out there tells us to fix it and to just do this and to just do that, and you can't do that. And transformational healing does not come from challenging those things, does not come from battling those
Mm.
things. You see, transformational healing happens when you listen to those parts, when you listen to the stories that they have to tell. How did they help you cope? Right? More than you know, before you could speak, before you could walk, these parts have been part of you. They kept you alive, and that's their job. And
Mm.
they are successful at it because you're alive. So you're not going to easily get rid of them. They're not easily going to walk away because they're scared that something bad is going to happen. If I don't protect you, if I don't get you to shut down, how are you gonna live? Right? And that's why
Yeah.
healing from trauma can be really hard. And when we approach it in that way, where we start to understand with curiosity and we listen to the stories of like protection and how they have helped us, they can start to guide us to the origins of our wound. And then, the who we are today. And I always tell every some trauma survivor, you are the person who can look after you when you had no choice, because trauma happens from hopelessness and powerlessness and choicelessness, right? And now people can't connect with the fact that they have choices
Hmm.
and they have power, and that, if they were to go back to that time, they would rescue themselves,
Yes. Yes.
right? They would kick butts, they would challenge, they would defend.
Hmm.
And those two things just is so sad. And if I had a magic wand, I would make that correlate for people to see that, look, you survive now and you can look after yourself. and you can't protect yourself. But in the absence of you not having all the tools and resources that you have now within you, these protective parts had to show up at different stages of your life, at
Mm-hmm.
different points, to preserve,
Right.
to
Right.
preserve you,
Right.
to make sure that you're alive. And within you is that capacity to now reconnect and look after yourself. And that's where we go into inner child work. And inner child healing work is one of the most transformational ways of working with trauma, particularly childhood trauma.